It's a hard thing to say no to people. It's something that I understood in the past. It was really, really hard for me when people asked me, if I was available. I would always say yes. I was a yes man, as you would call it. I would always say yes, always, and I would try to always agree with people in order not to hurt their feelings or whatever, forgetting myself in the process. And what you will come to realize as you go further along on your spiritual journey towards spiritual awakening is that when you fully embrace who you really are, therefore you fully embrace unconditional love for others, but especially and first and foremost for yourself, then you will have to say no. And if people's feelings are hurt, then you shouldn't say, well, I don't care, you should focus on yourself, knowing full well that your saying no to them will be a lesson to them. And that's as far as you should go. You don't have to explain it to them. You don't have to pretend to be a teacher, because who are you to teach anyone, right? The only thing you can do is teach yourself, or at least learn the lessons that come your way as you meet people, as you find yourself in this or that circumstance, and try to always find a lesson that is there for you. But to get back to the theme of this video, which is to say no to people, no. It's really hard because when you refuse, to say no to people, you forget yourself. When I'm saying this, I'm talking about when you want to say no, but you say yes. You refuse to put yourself first. And if you don't put yourself first, then people will put yourself last. And it is not out of pride or out of I am better than you attitude or things like that. It's just that at the end of the day, you are the only person that you have in your life. There is only you. And the fact that you realize when you go through a spiritual awakening that you are everyone and everybody doesn't take away the fact that in this third density world that we all live in, as drops of source experiencing itself through each and every one of us, the only person that you can actually improve and make better intentionally is yourself. When you make others better or you act out of, being a good influence to them, it's because you lead by example. And so they will naturally see that what you are doing is working for you, so they will try and see if it works for them. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But you cannot tell people what to do. I know, and I said that before in my videos, that I say you should do this, you should do that. Again, we are limited by words. And I can only speak to you guys the way I learned to speak to people in this third density world that we all live in. So when I say should, don't take it as an order. Just take it as a suggestion, right? This channel's intention is to talk about my spiritual awakening and to tell you guys what happened to me on this beautiful journey. But it is absolutely not my intention to tell you how to live your life. If it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not gonna be in your face and say, see, I told you it wouldn't work. You should have listened to me. Like, who am I to tell you that? And who would I be if I told you that? So to get back to what I was saying, you only have yourself. And since you only have yourself, you should take it as a suggestion. You should love yourself unconditionally. And when you love yourself unconditionally, you don't try to please people because you think that's what you should do. You are yourself. You are your genuine self. And so when you don't want to say yes to someone, even if they are your relatives, very close relatives, like your dad, your mom, your brother, your sister, if they are your romantic partner, if they are your best friend, whatever, don't say yes if you don't want to. Because when you do that, you forget yourself. When you do that, you will present to the person you said yes when you wanted to say no, a version of yourself that is not the true who you really are, the true self, who you really are. And that doesn't benefit anyone in this situation. Because you lied to yourself, you said yes when you wanted to say no, and the person you said yes when you wanted to say no to doesn't have the real you. And they will basically hang out with a fake version of you, who you are not. And that is absolutely not loving to them either. When you want to be with someone, whatever the situation may be, romantic, friendship, whatever, try as much as you can to be there for them only if you want to. Don't think that you should help this person because you have to. You should help people because you want to. You should say, yeah, I'm gonna go out with you guys tonight because let's have, fun with the boys, whatever. Because you want to. Not out of fear that if you don't say yes to your friends, they will unfriend you. And that is something that happened to me a lot. Actually, with my twin flame, for instance, back in Boston, I oftentimes said yes when I wanted to say no. And look what that got me. I am absolutely not mad at myself or at my twin for what happened, because if things hadn't happened the way they happened, I wouldn't have gotten into my third and last spiritual awakening. Therefore, I am eternally grateful to my twin for what happened. And if anything, maybe I was not myself enough, with my twin. But now I am. And whether we find each other again in this incarnation of ours or not is besides the point. As I said before, it would be the most beautiful byproduct ever in this twin flame journey of ours, but it's not the point. And so oftentimes, with my twin, with others, with my friends, in the past, I would say, yeah, let's do it when I didn't want to. And that doesn't serve any purpose. Because when you do something that you don't genuinely want to do, you are forcing yourself. You are forcing yourself into an identity that is not yours. And you are forcing yourself to, dare I say, appreciate a situation, enjoy a situation that you don't like and enjoy, that you don't appreciate for what it is. Because even if there is a lesson for you to learn there, the lesson will be only half learned because you're coming from a place of, I don't want to be there. It's like if you go to college and you decide to take this subject because all your friends are taking it and you don't want to be left out of the group, right? So you will say, yes, I'm going to learn this subject, but deep down inside you don't want to, but you did it because your friends were there. Sure, you will learn some of that topic, of that subject that you decided to learn only because your friends were taking it, but you will not learn it thoroughly. It will not come from a place of self-love. Therefore, it will not come from a place of genuine desire to learn. And it's always the same, I'm going to take an example here. I love to cook. Cooking for me is like meditation. When I'm in the kitchen cooking, it's I am with myself. And at the same time, I am with the world. I am one with the ingredients. I am one with the recipe. It's a beautiful thing. Cooking for me is a beautiful thing. But it happened, not anymore, but it happened in the past that I cooked because I felt like I had to. And what do you think happened? Well, the result was not great. You know, the same, I have Italian blood, and I'm very close to my Italian heritage. And so I cook a lot of pasta, which is, for me, the most beautiful thing in the world. Pasta is like, yeah, give me pasta every day. I don't care. I don't care. Give me all the carbs you want. I don't care. The same pasta dish made when I want to make it and when I don't want to make it, but I feel like I have to, will not taste the same. And that is because when you want to make it, your heart is in it. So you follow your heart. And that is what you should always do, because the heart is unconditional love. But when you do something, and that is not out of self-love, of unconditional love, even though it's the same recipe, the pasta will not be as good. And that is the same with your relationships. That is the same with everything in life. When you do something, but your heart is not in it, it will never give as beautiful a result as it could be if your heart was in it. So, and also, in my case, you know, the example of the pasta that I served to people because they asked me for it, but I didn't want to cook it, but I did because they asked me, and so I wanted to be nice, which doesn't happen anymore, by the way. The pasta was not as good. And they actually themselves, they told me to say, oh, it's not as good as usual. Yeah, because in the past when I made it and, you know, you ate it, it was because I wanted to cook it. I didn't tell them that. I learned the lesson right then and there and never did it again. I never, again since that day, cooked a meal for someone when my heart is not in it. Even if they ask me, I say, no, I don't feel like cooking today, I'm not gonna cook. You know, half Italian though I am, and cooking is like a religion. Sometimes you just don't want to do it, right? Sometimes you just don't want to see your friends. And if your friends take offense at your telling them no, then it's on them. And if your friends had unconditional love for you, they would understand that there can happen, you know, it can happen that you don't want to hang out with them. And it's completely okay. But it is hard. It is hard because when your ego tells you to say yes when you want to say no, at times it will say, well, if you don't say that, then it means you don't love them. No, it means you love them, but you love yourself too. And any kind of relationship, friendship, romantic, with your family, whatever, if there is not as much unconditional love on both sides, then there is an imbalance. Someone is giving more and someone is taking more and not giving back as much as you're giving. And that is not good. That is not good because it means that in a way, consciously or unconsciously on their behalf, they're taking advantage of you. And in a way, consciously or unconsciously, you are not loving yourself. So saying no to people is not being mean to them. It's being loving to yourself. So when you don't feel like going out with your friends, hanging out with your friends, when you don't feel like doing anything you don't want to do, just because you love them doesn't mean that you should say yes, because in that process you forget yourself. And you are the only thing that you have. And if you treat yourself with love and respect, that is, if you don't want to do this or that with your friends, with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, don't do it. And if they truly love you, they will understand why you said no. And they will even respect you more for saying no when you want to say no. Because the day you say yes to them will be all the sweeter.